held potential danger for the Führer's ambitions. The jokers in the pack were Britain and France, World War I's two major victors. If Hitler's army became bogged down in a protracted campaign in Poland, Germany's west flank would be left exposed. If Britain and France immediately went on the offensive, they could end the Nazi dictator's campaign before it began. Western powers ruled by frightened men. Hitler had good reason to believe that the two great powers would hesitate, however. At the Munich Conference in 1938, he'd insisted that Czechoslovakia cede the predominantly German-speaking Sudetenland to Germany, and both French and British Prime Ministers, Edouard Daladier and Neville Chamberlain respectively, had agreed to his demands. Their capitulation convinced Hitler that France and Britain were ruled by frightened, easily manipulated men. Hitler saw no reason to curtail his territorial plundering. In March 1939, he subjugated the rest of the Czech territory, Bohemia and Moravia, and converted the Slovak part of the former Czechoslovakia into a German puppet state, with free passage for German troops. His aggressive maneuvers were forming a net around Poland, which was now surrounded by German troops on three sides. An invasion of Poland would allow the dictator to avenge the wrongs he believed to have been committed in World War I, in which Germany had been forced to cede lands to Poland, including the coal-rich region of Upper Silesia. The Treaty of Versailles had also seen the port city of Danzig become a free city administered by the People's Confederation, the forerunner of the UN. And worst of all, from a German point of view, Poland had been granted the Polish Corridor. This was a stretch of land that cut between Germany and East Prussia, and gave Poland access to the Baltic Sea. It was an arrangement many Germans found deeply humiliating. In addition to the desire to regain lands lost at the end of World War I, Nazi racial ideology dictated that Germany was entitled to Lebensraum, a colonial settlement of Eastern Europe, at the expense of what the Germans perceived to be a subhuman Slavic population. During 1939, several signs of impending aggression emerged. On 22nd of March, the Germans occupied the Lithuanian port of Memel, now Klaipėda, which until 1919 had been in German hands. Hitler also demanded that Danzig be reunited with Germany and that his government be granted rights to build transport links across the Polish corridor. Guarantee infuriated Hitler. The diplomatic row between Germany and Poland forced Britain to intervene. On 31st of March in the House of Commons, Chamberlain proclaimed that Britain would support Polish independence and Danzig's continued status as a free city. The British guarantee angered Hitler. At the same time, it became clear to the Führer that Polish leaders intended to cede few, if any, concessions to Germany in the corridor, let alone voluntarily join the pro-German bloc. The Nazi dictator became convinced that the Polish question would have to be solved by military means. By this point, Hitler had already ordered his generals to begin forming a detailed plan for an attack on Poland under the codename Fall Weiß, Operation White. However, several of his commanders were skeptical and believed that Hitler's scheme was too risky. Their fears were well-founded. In May 1939, Poland's Minister of Military Affairs, Lieutenant General Tadeusz Kasprzycki, traveled to Paris to sign the Kasprzycki-Gamelan Convention. This committed the French army to launching a massive attack on Germany with 38 divisions within 15 days of Poland being attacked. But despite the commander's skepticism, in spring 1939, Hitler still believed that Western European powers would not intervene. The head of the Luftwaffe, Hermann Göring, suggested that the Führer might adopt a more cautious approach, but Hitler responded that he had always gone for broke. "I have played va-banque all my life," he said. The generals presented the Fall Weiß strategy on 15th of June 1939. The plan was straightforward. Army Group North, comprising two armies, would attack the northern part of Poland, while Army Group South's three armies would invade from the south.